Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex. And today I want to talk about Marvel Future Fight. And I want to address some of the comments, some of the rumors recently. And I want to explain why I haven't been making videos recently about Marvel Future Fight. Because I know it's a pretty stark departure for some of you new viewers who may be confused. They see a lot of Marvel Future Fight videos in the past. And now very recently they don't see them very often. And I can understand why people would be a little bit confused. But I have to say, there is no end to Marvel Future Fight. I will still make content for Marvel Future Fight from time to time. However, there's a very simple reason why I haven't made content for Marvel Future Fight recently, and that's because Marvel Future Fight has no content. If the game has no interesting content to talk about and things to discuss, I can't make videos about them. My inspiration as a content creator, as a video creator, comes from the fun I have playing this game. And so when I don't have fun playing the game, I don't have much inspiration, if any inspiration, to make videos. And that's essentially what it boils down to. But I didn't want to make a kind of negative and low feeling sad kind of video talking about how I don't have fun with the game and the game needs to be fixed, yada yada yada, without offering some kind of solution to the problem, or at least a solution to a problem that I see is quite prevalent in this game. So I wanted to explain that to you guys first of all, so you understand why you're seeing Arena of Valor videos. I'm having a lot of fun playing Arena of Valor, and I'll use Arena of Valor as a comparison to Marvel Future Fight to illustrate my next point about balance in the game, in character attributes. You know, a MOBA like Arena of Valor is kind of wins and loses on how balanced the heroes are. If one hero is too powerful, the game is not fun because you'll always choose that hero, and if you don't choose that hero, or if the enemy chooses that hero, then you get dominated and you lose quickly, and it's just not a fun game to play. It's like you're a boxer and you're just very mediocre and you're always fighting against Mike Tyson in his prime, and he's just knocking you out again and again and again. It's just not any fun. In any game, you play a racing game, if the person's always picking the Ferrari and you have to pick the Honda, you're gonna lose, okay? If it's just an average Honda, not your souped up Hondas. It's the same kind of thing, and we have that situation in Marvel Future Fight, which has led me to lose a lot of my interest in playing. I don't have a loss of interest in playing the game very casually, but playing the game as a casual observer does not give me the same kind of insights, passion, or motivation that it did when I was covering this game day in and day out for over a year. I am a competitive player, and I do relish and enjoy the opportunity to lose in order to get better, to understand the game mechanics and what I need to do to win, and basically how I can climb that mountain. But Netmarble has essentially erased the mountain. There is no longer a competitive scale from beginner up to veteran. There are just all of the characters in the game, and then there's a few select characters who are godly by comparison. And essentially I want to compare and talk specifically about Jean Grey and Quicksilver. These are kind of like the two top tier characters in the game. They can complete any game mode, but specifically in game modes where they compete against each other. So any semblance of competitiveness, whether it's Alliance Tournament, Alliance Conquest, or Battle World. These characters are far and away the best ones. Yes, there are certain situations where other characters can shine, and if you play manually in something like Timeline Battle, you can beat these characters, but let's be honest, you can't really make a comparison, a fair comparison, if you're comparing what the computer would do in a situation to what you are doing in real time as the player. So taking those specific game modes and those specific situations into consideration, we can see that Jean Grey and Quicksilver are far and away much stronger than any other character, and they dominate this game, and they dominate things like Timeline, things like Conquest, and things like Alliance Tournaments, and they're just everywhere every week no matter what. And it's just made the game less fun because there is no competitive aspect. The only character that can reliably beat Jean Grey besides Quicksilver is another Jean Grey. So when it's Jean Grey versus Jean Grey, you're just hoping that yours is going to do your 5th skill before the enemy's does. And it's essentially, you're down to luck, crossing your fingers, waiting for it to happen in a game like Conquest or in a game like Tournament for the Alliance tournament for the top 16 teams. And there's no fun there. And while you as the viewer may disagree and you may find it fun, I have to find it fun in order to make content about it. And that's where there is a disconnect for me as a veteran, as a hugely competitive player, and as someone who has climbed every other mountain that this game has offered us. Unfortunately, since the X-Men Epic Quest, Netmarble has not released any new mountains. They've continually tried to change and frustrate the ABX community by releasing things like new heroes month after month and CTPs more recently, but I've kind of quietly bowed out of the ABX chase the high scores, pilot your friend's account kind of gameplay, because it's hollow and there's really no sense of accomplishment there to be had. But there was a sense of accomplishment with things like Alliance Conquest and with things like Shadowland, but characters like Jean Grey and Quicksilver have trivialized this, and I think the core problem is the game mechanic and how the game engine calculates damage. And this is my suggestion for Netmarble. If any of the devs are watching, and I hope at least one of you are, I think you've lost your way. I think Netmarble has lost sight or has forgotten the calculations that they made when they created this game engine, because they've gone so far beyond what the game mechanics and the game calculations for damage can do, that your characters will die within a second. They'll take so much damage that they die before you as the human can even comprehend what's going on. You blink and your character has been erased by Jean Grey's 5th skill or Quicksilver's 5th skill. And it's made defense basically something that you don't even have to think about. It doesn't even matter if your characters have physical defense or energy defense. It doesn't matter if they have HP. I mean, it's nice, and there might be certain situations where, oh wow, I got lucky because I had 10,000 extra HP. There are very small improvements that you can make to your characters based on their HP, but you can still just get lucky and lose or win whether you have the most or the least amount of HP. So when there's that much variance, it really doesn't matter. Damage is king, and it's perfectly illustrated by the fact that most top-level players don't even bother to put invincibility obelisks on characters like Jean Grey anymore, because they've realized that this game has no semblance of defense or survivability whatsoever at high-level, random, non-manual play, where it's all auto, like Alliance Tournament, like Alliance Conquest. There's just no sense in building a character defensively, and you even see juggernauts of defense like Thanos. He is only good in timeline when you can manually control him. Yes, he can hold his own in very specific controlled environments against one-on-one opponents, but even against Jean Grey, if he gets unlucky and he's doing his 3rd skill while she's doing her 5th skill, he's gone. He's out of there. And this is a character who, with my cards and my setup, which is not even that good, not even using his own leadership. I mean, I don't have any HP on my cards, for example. I have very low all defense on my cards, but he's still rocking almost 13,000 physical and energy defense and almost 30,000 HP, and he can die in a matter of 1 or 2 seconds to 1 skill or 2 skills by Jean Grey or Quicksilver. The defense in this game really means nothing. It's totally meaningless. The only question people ever ask is, how much attack do you have? How much physical attack, all attack, energy attack? You can see that in the attitude of players, how valuable they make obelisks that have damage procs, 200%, 180%. How valuable cards are when they have all attack, physical attack, or energy attack. No one ever picks cards for all defense. Nobody ever rolls obelisks with all defense. Why? Because it's terrible. It just doesn't equate. And so I think that Netmarble has forgotten or ignored the original game code that calculated attack and defensive values, and it's become so skewed that there's just no comparison. There's basically, your defense could be 7,000 or it could be 0. It wouldn't make any difference. It's not a game of counterplay. It's become who can kill who faster. And so I think the only solution to this that doesn't involve nerfing characters, which is what I hate to suggest because I know how much you guys hate it, is to go back and change the core game calculations that are done in the game code under the hood, because I'm pretty sure that this is an original game engine that Netmarble created for Marvel Future Fight. I don't think this was copied from another game engine. They have to go back into their original game engine, and I don't think Netmarble will seriously do this. I genuinely hope that they would, just like I hope that my Jean Grey does her 5th skill first. But they just need to go back and they need to change how damage is calculated. They need to make physical and energy defense matter more. They need to make dodge and the resists matter more. I'm not sure how they would do that because I'm not a game coder. I don't deal with the mathematics of things. You guys know how good I am with numbers. Not very. But I think that would be the best way to do it. And it's going to be very difficult for them because, one, I'm guessing it's very hard to go back and change core game engine mechanics and then test it on 150 characters. So Netmarble is kind of in a tricky spot. Do they keep adding characters and make this problem even harder to change in the future? Because the more characters they add, the more they're going to have to test this if they ever want to go back and do what I'm suggesting. Or, in addition to that, what will happen when they change it? And how badly will it skew the power back the other way, or how many new bugs will be created? You know, this game doesn't have a closed beta server or a test server for certain high-level players to test out new game updates before they go live. Other games do this with great effect and a lot of success because they involve some of the key players who like to promote their game and also play their game at a high level and can understand their game on a very deep level, and they don't just rely on the people that work for the company to come to these conclusions. You know, it doesn't take a veteran of very long time playing this game to realize that there wasn't a lot of effort put into balancing Quicksilver. He is clearly an unbalanced hero, and whether it was done intentionally or it was done accidentally, he's still in the game. Same thing goes for characters like Jean Grey, Cable, Scarlet Witch, Apocalypse, Anti-Man, Nova. And even when Netmarble tries 2 months later to fix the Quicksilver problem by introducing a hero like Blue Marvel, they give him 70% damage reduction, and that's still not enough. Think about it, ladies and gentlemen. 70% damage reduction is not enough to beat Quicksilver more than 50% of the time, to beat him consistently. Given 2 months of development time, Netmarble was not able to come up with a counter to their own monster, their own creation. If that doesn't tell you that they are not having an easy time with their own design and their own QA, then I don't know what does. And barring nerfs, you know, instead of changing the damage numbers and lowering the damage of all these characters, I think the only other reasonable thing to do is to improve the effectiveness of existing defensive and survivability effects, so that characters who are supposed to be tanky, like Captain America and Thanos and Wolverine, can actually exist and be tanky, and not just be, oh, I died in 10 seconds instead of 3 seconds characters. We try really hard, some endgame players, to make bad or make underpowered characters be as tanky as possible, whether it's Ghost Rider or Luke Cage or Destroyer or Hulk. But we're always doing these things in vain, because deep down we know that these characters are never going to survive long enough to actually consistently and the majority of the time win against these offensive juggernauts. And that definitely needs to change if this game wants to continue to succeed in the way that it has succeeded for the last 2+ years that I've been a part of it. So I wanted to impart that information, that knowledge on you guys, so that next time I don't release a Marvel Future Fight video, you can take these things into consideration. You can think about, well, hey, nothing has really changed. Things are kind of exactly the same as they were a couple months ago. What could he really talk about? Yeah, maybe he could make a video for me about something specific that I need, but that's not really what this is about now, is it? That's not why you started playing in the first place now, is it? Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below, because I read them all. Subscribe if you want to support me and you enjoy the content, and of course, if you like what you see and hear, I hope to see you again tomorrow. Take care.